Hey, Realm family, welcome back to the Realm of History. Tonight, live review session on Chapter 16, Native American Societies, Aztec, Inca, Maya, getting ready for tomorrow's quiz. Make sure you check in with me in the comments and let me know that you're here. I want to say a special thank you to my key sponsor, the Barn Health and Fitness. Really appreciate you sponsoring the channel and, of course, these live review sessions. Let's get into our live agenda tonight. Tonight is going to be some key advice. We also have selected key terms and figures. We're going to do a couple places. I'll give you some short answer advice, some AP advice, question and answer time at the end. Let's get right into our key advice for tonight. Hey, as usual, I think it's really important to write things down from this session. I do honestly notice that the students who do that, they're performing very well in the class and they're performing very, very well on the quiz papers. Please study your notes from this chapter, right? Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, Section 4. Read those notes several times through. Make sure you know those outlines. Use your review sheet to make sure that you quiz yourself and check yourself out to make sure that you know what you're doing. And then, of course, if you haven't read the AMSCO, make sure you read the AMSCO topic 1.4 in getting ready for the quiz. At the end of the day, if you haven't done the reading from World History Patterns of Interaction, if you skipped a section or didn't read close enough, that could expose you as well. So make sure that you get everything done and that you're diligent in your preparation. Number 2, pray for the right things, right? We have so many important things to pray for. Don't pray for success in this quiz. This quiz is such a minuscule ideology in the grand scheme of things, but I do think you should express the prayer of gratitude. Thank you, good Lord, for all the blessings that you've received. So saying the prayer of gratitude is always a necessity, but ask the good Lord to guide you to use your talents to the fullest, right? The talents that you've been blessed with, ask the good Lord to use those talents to the fullest. I think Father talked about this, I know, in the girls' mass on Wednesday. I'm not sure if he repeated that on Thursday today, but it was something about using your talents to the fullest and making sure that you utilize those talents. That's a great prayer to make. Number 3, hey, be here now, right? We need to pop in history right now. We need to focus here. Focus your efforts here on this session if you're with me. And then tomorrow when you come into the realm, hey, pop in history, pop everything else out. Focus only on the task at hand, because really, you can't really control anything else. All you can control is what you do at that moment during the quiz. Next is going to be number 4. Make sure sometime tonight, if you need to do it right now so you don't forget, go say thank you to your parents. Thank them for all the blessings that they've given you, right? All of the great situations that they've put you in. Express your gratitude. Make sure you're doing that on a daily, a weekly, a nightly basis. Once again, if you need to go do that right now, go do it. Or after the session, make sure you talk to your parents. Tell them thank you. Tell them that you love them. And I think that's going to be a great thing for you to do. Express your gratitude. Number 5, hey, meet the challenge, right? Tomorrow's quiz is going to be a challenge. You can look at the review sheet and already notice that it's challenging. There's a lot in this chapter, right? In our lessons, we couldn't cover every single tribe. There wasn't enough time. So you're going to have to take some ownership on making sure that you've done that reading, that you know all the different T words and what they mean and who they relate to and what civilization they're associated with. So that is part of the role of the student. You got to make sure that you rise to the occasion and you meet that challenge. I do want to say something right now. Way too many kids have been missing on quiz day. It's not a very good sign. It's a sign of weakness. Don't Skipper McGee. Okay. The last quiz, we had over 12 kids miss. That's weak. Make sure you're coming to school. Don't Skipper McGee. If you get sick, you get sick. Like, kids get sick. But I don't think we have some kind of sickness going around where 12, 15 kids are out. So, hey, make sure you show up, meet the challenge. Don't run away from the challenge. Hey, we're not skipping class. We're not going to the nurse. Get yourself in class. Take the quiz. Do the best you can. That's all you can control, right? Your attitude and your effort. But it comes from preparation now. You got to make sure that you're prepared. Okay, next, I'm going to go into our key terms and figures tonight. starting with a group from the Southwest called the Hohokam. All right. What's important to know about the Hohokam is that they were an agricultural group. Okay. They're from the Southwest. They're one of the earliest and most successful in that region. Now, they were influenced by an earlier group called the Anasazi. One of the big reasons why they were successful was due to their use of irrigation. If you're in the desert, dry lands, you're going to have to divert water from a natural body like a river or the mountains. And so that's where irrigation comes into play. Next is the key group, the Anasazi. The Anasazi were the earliest culture in the Southwest, okay? So they existed in the Four Corners area, and they built the impressive cliff dwellings and apartment-style buildings that are known as pueblos, right? So they're kind of like the mother culture of this region. A lot of questions today about the Plains and Mountains tribe. This tells me that not a lot of people were doing the reading. I left this one out of the lectures because I did assign the reading for section 1, and I clearly stated that, hey, we won't be able to cover every single civilization, right? We won't be able to cover every single tribe in the modern day United States. The Plains and the Mountains tribes are one that was mentioned in the reading. These are tribes that lived in those regions, the Plains, like the Sioux, the mountain tribes like the Apache and the Comanche, and the Kiowa, which were mentioned in the book and shown on the map. What they're most well known for, though, is that they traded with the groups of the Southwest. So the Southwest had limited natural resources. That's what we taught in the lesson. If you live in the mountains, you have wood, right? There's abundance of forest. You have stone, okay? If you live on the plains, you're going to have pretty good agriculture. And so those entities would trade with the peoples of the Southwest for things like pottery, things of textiles, things of that nature. And so that's one of the key things to know there. Moving our way to the east, we're going to talk about the Eastern Woodlands people. The Eastern Woodlands were tribes from the Eastern Great Lakes region. We use the Iroquois tribes as an example of the Eastern Woodlands. The Iroquois, remember, had 5 tribes. We're going to talk about those 5 tribes next. That is known as the Iroquois League. The Iroquois League was an alliance of 5 tribes. They're called the Mohawk, the Oneida, the Onondaga, the Cayuga, and the Seneca. It was created, this Iroquois League, this political alliance, to help with joint defense and to promote trade. And it was formed by a chief named Hiawatha. If you remember Moocs, M-O-O-C-S, it'll help you remember the 5 tribes. Next is the Ayllu. The Ayllu is an Incan small group structure used for community work projects. So what they would do is they would divide people up into small groups based on where they lived, and then they would assign community work projects like fixing roads, creating bridges, fixing pathways, things of that nature that small groups could achieve in a family network system. The Incan government also had what's called the MITA, which is a labor tribute system. Basically, what this means is that if you were living in the Incan Empire, you had to perform a certain amount of work for the empire every year. It could be in hours or days, and they kept track of this with an item called the quipu. The quipu is basically just a piece of wood with many strings that hang from it, and then they would tie knots and they would color the strings for different things. Like one might be population, food storage, taxes collected, taxes owed, right? Many different categories. And so they would keep track of these things by making like each knot on the rope 100. Let's just say that, for example. And so every knot on the rope would mean 100 of that item or amount of money or amount of crops owed, so on and so forth. So it was a way of recording history, or a way of recording data for the Inca. It's a very simple device, very, very simple, but effective in civilization building. All right, there could be some confusion because there on the review sheet, there's the Pueblo native groups, right? The Pueblo tribe. They are like the descendants of the Anasazi, so they came after the Anasazi in the Southwest. But there's also the Pueblo buildings, right? The Pueblo buildings are those apartment-style complexes made out of stone and adobe, which is a sun-baked orange clay. And these were primarily built by the Anasazi first. Next is another political alliance. So there is kind of a relationship between the Eastern Woodlands and the Aztecs, right? Because the Aztecs had the Triple Alliance, which was the city-states of Tenochtitlan, Texcoco, and Tlacopan coming together in a political alliance in 1428. This is when the Aztecs now go out on the conquest and start to conquer other groups and nearby city-states as well. A key figure, Chief Hiawatha, he was the chief, I said it earlier, responsible for creating the Iroquois League, those 5 tribes. And one of the key Incan leaders was Pachacuti. Pachacuti was an early Incan leader. He quickly expanded the Inca Empire. And one of the things he's known for is he's known for expanding the Inca Empire into all of Peru. So, yes, they had parts of Peru, they had parts of Chile, but under Pachacuti, they control all of Peru, which became their homeland region. Next is Atahualpa. Atahualpa was the ruler of the Inca during the Spanish invasion. So when the Spanish invade the Incas and conquer them, Atahualpa was the ruler. He did defeat his brother Huascar in a civil war. So one of the reasons for the Inca decline was a civil war. Actually, the main reason that weakened them was a civil war between Atahualpa and Huascar. Okay. All right, we're moving on, Realm family, into some AP advice. I got a quick bit of AP advice for you here. The MCQ prompt, as I stated today, will be about the Inca, and it will be a document from the year 1553. It was written by a Spanish soldier that invaded the Inca Empire, and it's about Incan roads and how well they were built and how long-lasting and efficiently they were utilized. And so actually, I think in this MCQ, this AP portion, I'll be honest with you, having knowledge about the Inca is great, but the questions are fairly answerable from info in the prompt, which isn't always the case. So this one, reading and comprehending the prompt and what it's trying to say and what it's arguing will be very helpful for you. Next, are going to focus on the short answers. Now, I put a lot of information in the short answer on your review sheet. I have be able to compare the Aztec, Inca, and the Maya, the Quetzalcoatl theory, which I talked about yesterday in story time, right? How about the being able to describe the city of Tenochtitlan? Today in the slideshow, I had the last slide was what Tenochtitlan most likely looked like, but we also described it in the notes, right? We talked about those causeways, that it was an island, that it had a lot of canals that Aztec people would travel with on canoes. Then I have explaining the decline of the Maya, right? I want you to add a couple of things. I want you to know not only the Maya decline, but also the Aztec and the Inca decline factors. I want you to remember what we talked about with the native concept of land. How did they view the land? How did that compare to how Europeans view land, right? What was the goal of the Aztec and the Maya in warfare? Remember, they're trying to gain captives for human sacrifice, right? They weren't trying to kill their opponent, which is different than what Europeans might think, right? So these are some things in addition to what I have on the sheet that I think are important factors. Knowing the Aztec, Inca, and the Maya decline factors, I think those come into play as part of, the first one there, comparing the Aztec, the Inca, and the Maya. Also, their goal in warfare should be falling under that category. So new ones would be like the native concept of land. That would really be the only one that I would say isn't written there, but that was directly from the notes. So fair game at any time. Okay, I want to give you some key textbook pages. I'm not going to go over these tonight, but I think maybe before you go to bed or tomorrow morning, or if you have me later in the day, maybe at lunchtime, look over these pages. They are 439, 442, 447 we looked at in several sections. That's the map of Mesoamerica. It shows you where the Maya homeland is, where the Aztec homeland is. Page 449, 458, 461, 463. Important maps, important pictures, important graphs, charts, right? 466, visual summary. That's at the end of the chapter It kind of gives you a really nice breakdown of each civilization and some of the key factors there. So I would strongly suggest that you study and look over those pages there. Okay, I'm finally having a chance to get to the question and answer session. I'm going to go to the comments and check in to see who is here. Appreciate all of you being here tonight. I see some new names. It looks like they've changed the way that names come onto the chat, giving you an at option for some reason, which is odd, but nonetheless, thank you for being here. And I'm just making my way down to the question. This is a question that doesn't really relate to this chapter. The Columbian Exchange is basically the exchange of items worldwide. So Christopher Columbus travels across the Atlantic Ocean. He opens up trade that eventually allowed for items from the Americas to be sent eastward and exchanged with items from Africa, Europe, and Asia. So the Columbian Exchange is something that we'll get into more in chapter 20, but we're not quite there yet in this chapter. I did spell these out for you. I just had them on the screen. So, I mean, I think it's fair to say you should be able to spell them. Like I've spelled them out for you in your notes. I've got them on the screen here. We should be able to get them very close, right? Good question. Glyphs not only related to the Maya civilization, glyphs were definitely part of the Aztec civilization. The Inca civilization, not as much, but Aztec, Maya, Olmec, some of the older ones that we've learned about, definitely were part of those societies. Working my way down. So here, Kwakiutl, Nuka, and Haida, when I taught those, I lumped them together in the Pacific Northwest. Those are the names of the tribes. So all of those tribes practice all of the elements that we talk about. So there's no real need to separate them. On the quiz, it probably won't mention individuals. It will talk more about the Pacific Northwestern tribes. Yes, definitely. Montezuma II was mentioned in the handout notes. It talked about the fact that he was the emperor when they went into decline of the Aztec and when they were conquered by the Spanish. And it talks about some of the things he did, like trying to alleviate some of the tribute due to the revenge factors and so on and so forth. Okay, I see some comments. I'm not going to pull them up on the screen, but just know that all of you are Realm family members, and I certainly care about you a lot. And if you need help from me or there's anything that I can do to help you, all you got to do is ask, and I'll be there for you. So, like I say, I'm not going to pull up all the comments on the screen, but yeah, hey, I'm here. I'm listening. I see you, and I am here for you if you need my help all the time, at any time. What's the difference between Hopewell and Adina's earthen mounds? The Hopewell were much larger mounds, a little bit more advanced. The Adinas were kind of basic burial grounds, right? The Hopewell were a much larger scale, and so that'd be the only big difference that you would need to know. Okay, while the Maya did believe in Quetzalcoatl, it's mostly a factor for the fall of the Aztec, right? So Quetzalcoatl theory and prophecy, yes, they all believed in this ideology, but the Mayans that were left were kind of already in decline. So it's mostly a factor for the fall of the Aztec. And it's a religious factor, really, if you think about it. Okay, so for these ones, Queen, all you got to know is that they were from the Pacific Northwest and that they hunted whale using large canoes in the ocean. and that they practiced the potlatch, right? And they had a lot of natural resources in the Pacific Northwest. Those are the key things you want to know about those tribes. Tlacopan, it was a city-state. It was located along Lake Texcoco. So it was part of the Triple Alliance, right? And that's really all you need to know. So it wasn't on the island, it was a mainland outside of the lake. It was a mainland city-state that joined in with Tenochtitlan and Texcoco to form the Triple Alliance. Obviously, there's more. You could do a whole history on Tlacopan, but for our purposes, that's what we want to know. Yeah, so you want to know about Huayna Capac. Huayna Capac was the father of Atahualpa and Huascar. So those are the two brothers that had a civil war. One of the big things about Huayna Capac is that he did expand the empire into Ecuador and a couple of other regions outside of Peru. So he did expand the empire, not to as great of extent as Pachacuti did, but he was one of the later rulers, like I would say second to last ruler of the independent Incan Empire before they were conquered by Spain. So this one, there's a couple of versions. So you could get one that has 5, and the other version has 4. So 4 to 5. Teotihuacan? Yeah, it's one of the predecessors of the Aztec. It's the first major civilization of central Mexico. And it is the city-state that I showed you on the page. I showed you the ruins. It had the Great Pyramid of the Sun, the 300-foot pyramid. And also it had a great trading center of obsidian. It was abandoned around 750 for reasons that we're not exactly sure, right? And today it is a major tourist attraction just outside of the major city of Mexico City. And so that would be what you'd want to know about Teotihuacan. Oh, donkeys. Yes, I think Amu or Amo is uncle, right? If I recall. Yeah, when I was younger, I had a lot of friends that spoke the language, a lot of my best friends. And so I know some of the words. All right, next we're going to move our way down. I would say both. I would say both. I mean, honestly, you want to know that most native tribes had large trade networks. So did the Aztecs, so did the Maya, um, the Mississippian tribes, the mound builders, right? We talked about all those trade networks. So knowing that, and then the cultural diffusion would be really evident in Toltec to Aztec, right? We learned a lot about that. Olmec to Maya, Maya to Aztec. Not so much cultural diffusion between the Mesoamerican societies of Aztec and Maya and the Inca. They were kind of separated by too far a space to really impact each other. We do find Aztec items though in the Plains tribes, like the Sioux tribe had Aztec artifacts and vice versa. So there was long distance trade that did go on. Yes. So Aztec warfare goals, very much to capture the opponent for human sacrifice, right? What they were trying to do is maybe conk the opponent on the head, knock them out, drag them back, or rope them up, kiss them in a net, tie them up, bring them back so that they would be the sacrificial victims. That was really the big picture goal of Aztec and Maya warfare, to be exact. Great question. I was waiting for someone to ask about this one. You can go ahead and cross off Tlaxcala. I didn't have enough time to get into it, so I should have crossed it off myself. I apologize. but that's my mistake. I take full responsibility. You do not have to know for this quiz about the Tlaxcala. I will teach it in chapter 20, where it will be a bigger factor. I don't like that profile picture. It's not me. It must be AI. I don't know. Short answer wise, 4 to 5, depending on what version you get. This is terrible. I gotta ban somebody. Okay. Banned. MOOCs, I don't think I would say memorizing it is kind of odd, but I would say knowing it would be good. It could end up being on a short answer. It could end up being a part of a multiple choice. So those are some of the things that you might want to make sure you have. Aztec, Maya, Inca, yes. Yes, social class systems know those for sure. Yeah, I can do that right now. Here are the important pages to know right here. I don't know. I don't think I can. You can take a screenshot of it if you want. I don't think that I can forward that somehow, but that is it right there for sure. I could probably copy it and paste it at the end into the comments. I could do that. I don't think I'm quick enough to do it right this minute, but I can definitely do that at the end. Please remind me, Master P. All right, I'm almost there. Uxmal. So Uxmal was a Mayan city-state located in the northern portion of the Yucatan Peninsula. It's just west of Chichen Itza, actually. It's pretty close to Chichen Itza. No, there's not a version 3 this time. There was a one-time thing. Hopefully, I don't have to do that again. I just was that week. There was a lot of goofballing. And so, hey, we got to make sure that people are focused. That was it. If we can continue to behave very well, there shouldn't really need a version 3. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really important, Leah. I mean, that was a big part of like why I showed the film today, the video clip, because that is really a big part of like why they did it and how they controlled the masses with it. Because I know the Maya and the Aztec, they all knew very much about astronomy. They knew that the sun, they knew about the planetary movements. I don't think that every educated person believed that the gods needed human blood to survive the underworld. So there had to be some type of other factors involved there. Yes. Well, I showed you a lot about Chichen Itza today, but in the grand scheme of things, it was just an example of Mayan cities and ruins. So for the quiz portion, you're just going to want to know that it was a major Mayan city-state located in the Yucatan Peninsula. Okay, so phone balling, skipping crew, improper dress code, hooded sweatshirts that aren't St. Mary's, no belts, stuff like that. Anything like that could do it. Anything could do it. Other questions, everyone? I'm here for a few more minutes, or as long as you need. As long as you need. But hey, understand whether you get the crew or not, still love and care about all you guys and girls. So don't think that just because you got the crew or you were on your phone that you're anything less than a realm family member. Okay, that would never be the case. Incan social classes. Good question, Michael. It's very, very similar to the Maya and, of course, the Aztec. So you have the noble class, which would be like, your government officials, people in charge of the Elu, people in charge of collecting the Mida, right? High priest, they did have religious practices in the Inca world. The middle class would be, once again, your merchants and your artisans. These are your people who are buying and selling products, right, in markets, food, clothing, tools, weapons. At the bottom for the Inca, farmers, peasants, people who grew potatoes, right? Potato was a huge crop grown on the side of mountains and in cliffs in the Inca Empire. Okay. Not as many slaves, though, in the Inca Empire as compared to the Maya and the Aztec. They didn't really perform human sacrifice on a massive scale. Emmy the Shea, we got Copan and Palenque. Copan is the southernmost of the key city-states of the Maya. Palenque is the westernmost of the key city-states of the Maya. But really just know that they are key major Mayan city-states. Okay, let's take a look at this one. When you say compare the civilizations, do we need to know what all three of them have in common, or would we be asked to compare two of them? Yeah, you could be asked to compare any two, or all three. Remember, when you are comparing, you're looking at similarities and differences, right? That's at least the way that I look at it. Okay. Okay, it's topic 1.4. I had the pages written down. Is that a real picture of me? What is that? Is that AI? Man, I'm not that bad, am I? Okay, let's take a look at the book. I'll show you right now. The section starts in AMSCO. It's page 33, and it goes all the way to page 39. And then there are sample questions on pages 40 to 42. So I'd say 33 to 42 is what I had written on the board. All right. Any other questions? Really appreciate you being here. We've been on for about 33 minutes. That's awesome. If there are any other questions or anything that you're curious about, I'm here to help you. All you have to do is ask. I'll stay on for about 30 more seconds. Don't forget to say thank you to your parents, right? Make sure you express your gratitude there. Pray for the right things, of course. And hey, tomorrow, be here now, right? Meet the challenge. And all you can control is giving your best possible effort, right? If you do that, if you prepare, if you can look at the mirror tomorrow morning, be like, hey, I did everything that I could do to get ready for this quiz, then you're a champion. That's it. No doubt about it. In my mind, you're going to be fine if you can do that. Trevor John is doing some work, It's fall. I'm sure he's getting ready for hunting season and stuff, Probably so. That would be my guess. I haven't seen him in a while. All right. I think that's it. I don't see any questions coming in. So, hey, I want to say thank you. Much love to all of you. God bless and have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. Be there. Be here now. Rep the realm.